All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland. Kara, tell me about some mythology.
Yeah, so your mythological thing that people actually believed in for today is the Chaoskampf, or serpent slaying creation myth. So basically, a shocking number of ancient cultures around the world have a myth about a thunder god fighting a giant serpent, usually associated with water, and using its body to create the world. So this shows up in Mesopotamian religion, where Marduk slays the water serpent Tiamat and creates the world from her body, but also shows up in Norse mythology, Zoroastrianism, Shinto, and bits of it appear in Greek mythology. It's also echoed in the Hebrew Bible, where God parts the deep or abyssal waters, denoted by a cognate of the word Tiamat, and thereby creates the world.
Yeah, this one has been... This is one
and
of those...
I know you've heard of this one because we talked about it a little bit before.
But, yeah, well, I mean, I get a lot of this from, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but in D&D, there's the dragon Tiamat, that I first learned about, the multi-headed Hydra thing from the cartoon. Mm-hmm.
That is where I first heard about Tiamat as well.
Yeah, all right, awesome. And then, of course, Norse mythology, and then, what did you say was in the Epic of Gilgamesh?
It wasn't in the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's in Mesopotamian creation myths.
Right. Okay, Marduk. It's around that time.
Yeah, Marduk, and also Zoroastrianism, which was sort of the first monotheistic religion in Eurasia, essentially, and Shinto and Greek mythology, and a little bit in Judaism, Christianity, all that Judeo-Christian stuff.
Yeah. So really kind of there's three possibilities here that people came up with this separate of one another.
Right.
And there are not a lot of huge water serpents in all of these cultures.
We've all gone through the phase where we had our greatest cultural hero slay a sea serpent and create the world. Yeah, totally. That's something we've all been through.
Yeah, that's so BC. And then the second would be that, there's some truth to this myth, that there is a giant water serpent or something like that. And then the third would be, and this is the one that I like, even though the first one is probably the truth. It's probably came up with separately. We've seen this in a lot of things. I like the idea of the first one because man started somewhere.
Right.
People say Africa, the cradle of civilization, blah, 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 so on and so forth. I don't really care where it was. Man started somewhere. And they branched out and took stories with them. And maybe this was the equivalent of Harry Potter. It was like everybody's favorite story, which was tied into their religious belief systems. But religious belief systems were so loose at the time that it was more just a campfire tales and stuff that you tell about, and that basically the first group of people went out across the world and took their stories with them. I mean, is that, and then they just hung on for thousands of years. Is that...
Well, let me tell you what historians think happened. And okay, it is basically that, because they think they've kind of figured this out. It all comes back to what is called the Proto-Indo-European people, which were a group of people who are believed, but we're not sure, to have originated in sort of the steppe, so kind of like Kazakhstan, like north of the Black Sea, some parts of what is today Russia, who spread out all over the Middle East and who spread out all over, Europe, Africa, Asia, down to India. And these guys predated Mesopotamian civilization, so they predated writing. We know a little bit about them from archaeological evidence, but mostly we know about them from just similarities in language between India and parts of the Middle East and all that kind of thing. Because you can see, and linguists have sort of reconstructed what they think some of the Proto-Indo-European words for gods and stuff were. So Jupiter, Zeus, this all dates back to what they believe the Proto-Indo-European sky god was, Deus Piter, which Deus Piter, Jupiter, Deus becomes Zeus in the Greek schema. There's many different versions of this. So they think that the Chaoskampf was part of the mythology of this Proto-Indo-European religion that, died out long before writing was invented, but still left behind traces in like Mesopotamia, which was basically the first culture to write things down, and on into these much later civilizations, many thousands of years after that. So,
Well, that's
these
the
were
one I find to be most inspiring. So I'm glad that's the one that people are going with. It's like,
yeah,
sure, a giant serpent that wraps the world is cool.
Oh, certainly.
Nobody can argue with Leviathan, the world serpent. This stuff is cool.
Yeah.
But it's also a little scary.
What's also interesting about these guys is, the 12 Olympians from Greek myth?
No.
Oh, well, like how there's basically 12 major gods, Zeus, Artemis,
yes,
Athena, all that kind of thing.
The pantheon. Yeah.
Though that sort of 12 Olympian structure, also a Proto-Indo-European thing. And it's echoed in Mesopotamia. So this religion that is so old that we don't even have any of their writing left, we've kind of reconstructed just from similarity, from the traces it's had on other cultures. But even as old as they are, they were not like the first civilization, certainly. They were just one that happened to endure in the form of our mythology.
Right. I get why people lean towards ancient astronauts and all this stuff. There is a lot of stuff that you look at and you go like, holy smokes, that's a dude in a rocket ship in Mexico. There's a lot of that. But I do wonder if we're just selling ourselves short. If like we're so, we could never do that. It's like maybe believe in yourself, man. Maybe we did do that. Have a little, species confidence.
Right. I like believe in yourself, man, as like sort of a historical position, like an archaeological position.
Right.
Believe
not
in
man, but like mankind. Like believe in yourself, man. Yeah.
No, I like that. Maybe that's our Radio Wasteland tagline. Maybe we're like one of those hang in there cats.
Right. Hang in there. Yeah, we need a picture of like some sort of like Australopithecus.
Right.
Say hang in there, man.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. You're listening to Radio Wasteland. Come on back.